Just a quick message from our sponsor of today's video, IP Royal. Use code YASCODE for 50% off their Royal residential proxies. Elon Musk has been in the news a lot recently for the ongoing purchase of Twitter. There have been mixed emotions about this, so today we're going to have a look at what the people of Twitter think about Elon Musk's takeover of Twitter. Before I get into it, please give the video a like, drop a comment on future sites you want me to scrape, and most importantly, please subscribe. Do also join our tech community on Discord. Here you can find others who are interested in tech, share new projects with each other, and also join some of our upcoming events and hackathons. A link to this will be in the description. My other social media link to the description below. Before we get into the video, I want to share a quick message with you guys. With many web scraping projects, you want to use a proxy to reduce IP banning and remain anonymous. Today's sponsor is IP Royal, and they provide proxies for many different use cases. They provide residential proxies, data center proxies, 4G mobile proxies, and even sneaker proxies for when you need a proxy for just a day. All their proxies are 100% genuine, using real IP addresses from real users, ensuring that you never get detected or blocked. You have the option to pick between sticky or rotating proxies, where you can enjoy a 99.9% uptime and a growing IP pool. The sneaker proxies themselves are compatible with the most popular sneaker bots out there and provide IPs closest to the retailer's location, so as to avoid any latency and increase your chances of success. If you use my open source sneaker monitors on GitHub, you might want to consider using these proxies. But that's not all. If you use discount code YASCODE, you can get 50% off their Royal residential proxies. Make sure you try them out before this offer expires. IP Royal support is available 24/7 to help you out with any issues that you may have. And with that, let's get into the video. So with our project today, we'll be using Twitter's API. To get access to Twitter's API, you need a Twitter account and you have to request for the developer portal and developer access. So this will only take a couple, the form itself is very short and it'll take maybe a couple of days for you to get verified. And once you've done that, you should have access to a developer portal. In the meantime, do continue watching the video, get a gist of what the project's about. Maybe you can think of other projects to do as well. Once you've got developer access, you can go to Twitter developers and go to the developer portal, which looks like this. This is the dashboard. So if you then go on to overview, you'll have, well, I have a project which has elevated access to the V2, access to the API, but you can also use just the standalone apps, and you can just create an app in either one. So if we create an app in that, which is just the 1.1 API access, which is all we need, you can create a app name, which has to be a unique name that no one has ever used, so make it very unique to you. And then you'll get some access tokens as well. So if I just say YASCODE, yeah, I can't even spell YASCODE, bot 3 because I've made a few. You can click next, and then you'll get an API key, API secret key as well. And then you can also hit app settings, and you'll also get a access token and a secret token. You should save all these keys, even including the bearer token. Just save all of them somewhere, because we'll be needing them in a minute. So once you've done that, we're going to be using Google Colab, and we're putting the access tokens here. So just to explain what Google Colab is, this is basically a Jupyter notebook but on Google servers. So this means you don't need to install anything. You can run everything through Google Colab, which just makes life easier. What's nice about Google Colab itself is that yeah, you're using Google servers, so they even have access to GPU support. So if you then later on want to do a new project, but it's quite computationally expensive, you can put it on here and use some of the GPUs that Google have. Okay, so next what we need to do is just put in all our access tokens here. So actually to get to this stage, sorry, I haven't mentioned, just Google Colab. Colab spelled C-O-L-A-B, and hit the first link, and that should get you to a sample Google Colab page. Then you can just click File and New Notebook, and it'll come up with an empty notebook. What's nice about Google Colab and their notebooks is that you can put in text and code simultaneously, so you can essentially describe what's going on in bits of code, which is quite useful, especially if you're doing analysis. With that, let's put in our access tokens. So I'm just going to create a few variables: access token, API token, access token secret, API API token secret token. Okay, and just paste in your tokens there. Then what I'm going to do is import Tweepy, which is a library we can use to access the Twitter API, and we're going to authenticate ourselves. So tweepy.auth handler, and this takes the API key and API secret token. Then we're going to do API set access token, and thus we're going to chuck in our access tokens here. I called API key. Caps, there we go. Okay, and then the last thing you want to do is API dot equals tweepy dot API auth. There we go. So let's just populate this with our keys, each one, and then we can start using this. So I'm going to hide my keys so you don't see it. So now that you've got all your tokens there, to run a cell, you can either hit the play button or you can hit Shift Enter. I'm going to do Shift Enter. Green tick means it's run successfully. So you can do that, and then the bottom one you can run as well. Okay, so once we've authenticated ourselves, what we can do is start making requests to the Twitter API. So let's do that. So data equals API dot search. Make our query Q equals Elon Musk. Hit enter, and let's say lend data. There's 15 tweets that it's grabbed, and so we can say data 0 to get the first tweet, and we can see what it returns. So okay, it returns a lot of information, which can be quite hard to get a hold of, but I know that to get the text of the tweet, you just say data.text, and there we go. This is the text of that tweet. And there we go, that's how you grab tweets of Twitter. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab as many tweets as possible and then do some sentiment analysis where we're using machine learning. Okay, so just to explain that our access to Twitter search API is quite limited. We can grab, I think, a maximum of 200 tweets at any given moment, but you're capped as well at how many tweets that you can grab, and I think I can't remember, but it's a monthly cap. Similarly, you are only able to look at the last 7 days of Twitter data, so we do have these constraints. However, there are ways to grab data in bulk. So what we're going to do is quickly write some code that will grab a load of tweets. So let's say tweets equals that, and that's where all our tweets are going to be. And what we're going to say is max ID equals none. So now we're going to say for I in range, and let's say 5, if max ID equals none, then do this, else do this. And what it's going to do is say data equals API dot search query is Elon Musk, count equals 200, so we're going to try and max it out. We're going to say language equals English. We're going to say tweet mode is extended, which means that basically some tweets are truncated because of how large they are, so this will just return the whole tweet, and that's it for that. And what also we're going to do is we're going to copy that, say else that, and say max ID equals max ID, and then we're going to say for I. So what is, okay, just to explain what's going on here, we are going to grab some data, some tweets, then the maximum ID of the last tweet will be the oldest tweet in that block of 200, and what we're going to say is you're going to make that the maximum ID, and that'll then allow us to grab tweets before that time, so we can get another block at 200 and set the bottom one as max ID and get another 200. That's what the aim is here. So for I in data, so now we're flicking through each tweet from the 200. We're going to say if, okay, now we're also going to filter of any retweeted tweets, just because I'm just going to mess up with our analysis. So if not I retweeted and RT at not in I dot for text, then we can say tweets dot append and then say I dot full text. Next, what we're going to do is say max ID equals I dot ID minus 1, just so we don't get the same ID. We want it slightly, we don't want to get multiple of the same tweet. And that's that. So when we run this 5 times 200 is 1,000. So we're aiming for around 1,000, but we're also filtering out any retweeted tweets. So that a lot of tweets are retweeted. So I don't expect to get as many. So if I say len tweets, we've got 184, which I think it's okay. We can grab more, but I think 184 for now is okay. Okay, so now we've got some tweets. Now we're going to perform sentiment analysis on those tweets. Sentiment analysis is a topic within NLP, natural language processing. This is an area of research looking at how the sentiment of text, so the polarity and the emotion behind pieces of text. We're going to be using the NLTK library from Python, which has a sentiment intensity analyzer function, which can help us get the sentiment around some text. So the way it does this is it uses something called VADA. It uses a pre-trained model called VADA, which is, just to get the name correct, Valence Aware Dictionary and Sentiment Reasoner, which is quite a mouthful. Essentially what this model does is it assigns emotional intensities and polarity to particular words, and then if we want the sentiment around the whole text, it'll just sum up the polarities and emotional intensities for that piece of text. So what's also very interesting about VADA is it's able to distinguish between double negative. So for example, the sentence, I would never not love, which is kind of a hard sentence to grasp because it's quite negative. However, as in it's got negative words, but it's actually a positive phrase, and VADA is able to distinguish that. So I'm not going to talk about it too much, how these models work, but if you do want to read more on it, I'll put some links below, or if you'd like, I'll make a video on it. So what we're going to use is the NLTK library, so let's just get that started. But before we use it, you need to download the VADA lexicon. So let's just do that quickly. So import NLTK, then nltk.download, and then VADA lexicon. To enter, and now it's just going to download it. Oh, it's done. That was very quick. So now we can just say from nltk.sentiment, import sentiment intensity analyzer. So s equals sentiment intensity analyzer. Let's just run that. I just want to make sure that it works. Yep. Okay. I'm going to say scores is an array, and for tweet in tweets, for every tweet we're going to say scores dot append s dot polarity scores for that tweet, and we're going to get the compound polarity. So just to actually, before we do that, let me just quickly show how this works. So if I just copy that and then grab this, let me show you how this works. So if I say I would not I would never not like Star Wars. This should be a positive sentence. And let's see. Positive. If I get rid of compound, actually, just to show you what the return is. Compound is there, then it shows you negative. It's got a 0 negative score. It's slightly neutral and it's slightly positive. In total, it is positive, 0 being neutral. So with that in mind, we're just going to take the compounds and add it onto scores, and then let's say enter, and let's average those scores. So sum of scores divided by len of scores. So generally, in 184 tweets, Elon Musk is quite a neutral reaction, or maybe even slightly positive, which is a little bit surprising. But what we can also do is then check like the distribution. So if you just say import statistics, and there's statistics.stdev, or your standard deviation, you can say you can get that. So there's 0.41, which is quite a large spread. So there's a large spread of sentiment. Another thing we can do is then look at we can create a histogram to actually really see the distribution. So what we can do is import matplotlib.py plot as plt. I'll say plt.hist, say scores, and the number of bins I'm going to set to about 20. And we say plt.show. Okay, so now you can see the distribution. So there's some negative, there's some positive, but majority are around 0. If we say 19, we can actually see is it more positive or more negative. Okay, most of them are just neutral, but that's what we can see there. What we can also do is even get the most positive and the most negative tweet. I'm only going to show the most positive because it's quite a risk showing the most negative tweet on YouTube. So let's say tweets and then scores.index. So we're going to get the index of the lowest score and then put that index into tweets to see what the lowest tweet is, that the most negative tweet is. So scores.index and the max score. It should return the most positive tweet, and this is the tweet. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that's the tweet. And then we can get negative tweets as well, which I'm not going to show. But essentially, that's how you can work with Twitter's API, and how you can use a bit of sentiment analysis in Python. A future project maybe you will be interested in doing is maybe creating a plot of the sentiment of Elon Musk over maybe the last 5 years or 10 years, and then highlight key events to see how has Elon Musk's sentiment, how people think of Elon Musk over time has changed with different key events happening. And that's all we have time for. Thanks for watching. Do keep in mind what we've done here isn't statistically sound, as we would need more tweets to draw any concrete conclusions. So try and do that in your own time and let me know how you get on with that. Do also comment anything interesting you find when attempting this, or any other Twitter-based projects you come up with. If you've enjoyed this, please leave the video a like, drop a comment for any tech-related content you want to see, and most importantly, please subscribe. I'll also have a link below to our Discord server that you can join. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.